Hey everyone, I'm over here in the corner. I don't think you can see me, but that's okay because tonight we're going to focus again a little bit more closely on the police interrogation of Brooks Houck in Bardstown, Kentucky, that was done just within days of Crystal Rogers, his girlfriend and the mother of his child, uh, when she went missing. So it was just within a few days of her being reported as missing by her mother. And tonight we're going to start our this is going to be, I think, 4 episodes of 30-minute chunks in a more detailed reaction video to what's going on the screen. Last week, we were able to review the entire video together, just kind of as a way of introduction. And so hopefully tonight we can dig in a little bit deeper. And if you can, if you're in the comments, let me know if you can hear me okay. I see there are some of you watching. But before I start this, I want to do a quick sound check because I do not have my usual setup, which is also why I am not on screen. So can you hear me okay? I'm going to get started. Okay, great. Thank you, Carla. It's so awkward because usually there's so many more people here. We know it's a holiday weekend. It's a chill time, but that's cool. So, okay, so let's get started with the first 30 minutes. There will be a lot of interruptions. If you want to see the video without interruptions, I did it last week. Just go ahead and look for last week's video for that. All right, here we go. Just check the volume.
I just called, try to get up him before he comes here. He's not answering his phone yet, so he must still be in the middle of it.
All right, that's all right.
All right, I'm gonna take a minute here and read through your statement, if that's all right.
Yes.
Get an idea. You might have answered some of my questions already, so.
But I did, I was trying to cover as much as I could. If my writing's not real legible, you just ask me, and I can clarify it real quick for you.
Okay. Yeah. 4 o'clock, Bluegrass Center.
But I don't know these. I put approximately on there. Just put 4.
Yeah, that's nobody.
Okay, so the first thing I'm seeing right off the bat, now that I'm looking at this a lot more carefully, in full scale too with Brooks Houck, is he looks nervous. He wants to appear, as a lot of times both innocent and not innocent people do, as super helpful, overly cooperative. But we know that that's going to change real quickly. So, because that's not his go-to, he doesn't feel like he has to be super helpful. And so it does come off as a little bit fake. And trust me, I'm pretty sure this police officer, detective, excuse me, can see that.
I don't expect you to know exactly.
Yeah, no, there's no way for me to.
So you can see that he wants to do something. He just wants, Brooks really wants to be able to take control of the situation. He looks poised actually to get up out of his seat. He put his hand up and he was starting to move his fingers around, probably to let off some nerves, some stress, but also to me it seems like he just wants to pounce and take charge, because he seems like a take charge kind of guy. And as always, I'd love to hear what you're seeing. it has to be extremely uncomfortable for him. And here's the thing, remember, this was an interview or interrogation that was done within days of Crystal Rogers going missing, being reported missing. And this would have been probably the most stressful time for him, where he might have felt at the most vulnerable in terms of being questioned and maybe even hauled in or maybe even arrested. Obviously, without a body, he probably felt fairly sure he couldn't get arrested. And as we learn in this interview, he has a brother in the police department too. So he was feeling pretty confident, but he looks really nervous too. He will look more confident in future videos, but right here is probably the most vulnerable we will see him until we see him hopefully at his trial pretty soon. So you can see like how he's holding on to his leg and he's kind of half covering his face and he's trying to determine, what is this guy looking at? Why is he taking so long? Just a lot of anxiety, which of course he's going to have, innocent or guilty. A person whose significant other went missing 2 days prior is going to have anxiety, but this is a little bit insightful into his personality and his makeup, in my opinion. And just one more sound check. Is everything still okay in terms of sound? Please let me know. Thank you.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I was confused about, because Kylie had said that she was gone before. She said she had told me that she was gone before you got back from the gas station and before Mom got home. But I don't think that's correct, because her grandma said she picked her up about 7:30. So you guys were already gone from the house. She had to be there while y'all were there, right?
So this is right off the bat, this detective is pointing out incorrect information that he was given previously. Now, this is the third time that Brooks Houck spoke to officers or a detective. The other 2 times were not in an interrogation setting. As far as we know, they were, first of all, at his home, and then another time. So just so you know, he has given prior information. This is not the very first encounter that he had with the police department regarding this.
Is this Friday? You working on the new construction on Friday?
Yeah, and I didn't put that order, but I put all that right there. The further you go, the more clarified I get. I broke it down into segments.
Oh, these are the people whose house you were working on?
Yeah, all these right here are people that I'm overseeing, that I'm speaking or talking to. We'll just look at my phone to get my exact time. Y'all got my phone in there, and that way you can build a timeline of all this stuff. I do this every day, so me looking back, I had to know what time it is.
Right.
There's no way for me to remember that. I mean, you'll see the more that you get to looking through there, you'll see how much I've got in my head to try to keep up with. All these are guys that are working for me that help me, every one of them.
Okay.
So see how helpful he's trying to be. He's just wants to come off as such a super helpful guy. And he also wanted to interject, just a little bit of distancing there. Well, I have so much going on in my head. So, if there are mistakes, he doesn't say it this way, but the inference is, if there are some mistakes here, I'm just such a busy guy. I mean, mistakes are going to happen when you're such a busy, important guy like me. So that's kind of interesting. And by the way, Queen Ruth Ann, are you following this case?
And then these right here, I skipped a line to break that and put locations, and I did it in subdivision, so y'all know where my vehicle, y'all know where I'm at, my phone and everything.
I mean, right here, the wringing of the hands, he's acting like a 4-year-old who's trying to get approval from his mother. The body language is over the top, conciliatory, and just not characteristic of who he really is and what we know. Yes, we're everywhere. So this is really interesting. It's really fun for me to be able to, and just informative for me able to look at this a little bit more closely after reviewing it, the whole thing with you all last week. So again, this is going to be just 30 minutes of the interrogation. It'll probably take an hour to get through it, but in any case, I'm seeing a whole lot more every time I see this interview. But he's got his little hands folded, and boy, he has anxiety, and rightfully so. As we know, he was arrested a few months ago in to everyone's surprise, after 8 years.
Those are the numerical address, the street address, and this is the type of work that I've got going on past that hyphen mark. Those are the type of work I've got going on at each construction site. Every one of them's a separate job. And then this right here is for the whole subdivision. Keep the Woodlawn Springs homeowner subdivision, the president, and all the members, the committee and stuff. All I want to keep the subdivision looking nice, trash and debris and all that kind of stuff. And metal grates in the road, the curb and gutter, and all that.
So again, blah 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 blah. The more he talks, the more he thinks he's in control. He's really trying so hard to look like he's cooperative. But now look at him basically hugging himself. And he's even caved his chest in. He's looking downward. He's definitely trying to comfort himself. He has something to hide, don't we think? So, and we're just looking, in my opinion, at, and I know I am not a professional body language expert in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying, hey, if I were shown this during a trial, I would be picking up on these cues. And a lot of times, interrogation videos, body cam, and such are used in trials. And so that's why I find it super interesting. And hello, Swiffer Duster. So nice to see you both. I'm so glad you're here. All my cat friends.
And this is just kind of like a daily thing. I've got to go through this every day to keep everybody rolling and everybody happy. And this
I mean, it's so interesting. I've got to keep everybody happy. And then he kind of postures and looks off to the side, kind of a little bit proud. Still had his arms hugging himself, but definitely trying to paint himself as somebody who is, who provides benefits to other people all the time. That's his whole thing. Oh, so this is a new case. Yes. Carla will tell you all about it.
Which is subdivisions. You see, I put copper fields up here, and then these are the number of houses I got going out there. I've got different subs in different spots.
I love how the detective is like, I'm not impressed by all your subs and spots. I'm not impressed by the fact that you own 200 some properties. Brooks Houck is so badly trying to get something from this detective in terms of a reaction or a little bit of approval or some kind of like, where is this thing going? It's comical. It's really something else. I did not realize how much angst he had when I was looking at it with you last week.
Sorry, that thing will go off pretty constantly.
That's fine. That's nice.
I've got people all over the county too.
All right.
Awkward. It's so awkward. Oh my gosh.
That was him. He's on his way back with your phone.
All right.
And I thought I had busy days.
No, I've just been used to the custom position. That's how I grew up.
Right.
You know,
Was your dad a builder?
my dad was a construction worker for CSX Railroad.
Oh, okay.
About 24, 25 years.
Okay. This answers a question about Brooks Houck's dad. I haven't heard much about him. We've seen his mother at the hearings. We've heard about his mother in terms of recording the grand jury proceedings, which is a definite no-no. But I haven't heard much about his father. He says his father was in construction for the CSX Railroad, I believe he said.
I read a book when I was in high school. That's what started me doing this.
So it's interesting. He said his dad was in construction, but it wasn't his dad who got him into construction. He read one book when he was in high school, which I think is hilarious because I'm not even going to go there, but that's pretty funny. But he's saying that's what got me into this. The detective is not interested in his resume at all. He's interested in finding Crystal Rogers. And this guy, Brooks Houck, is talking about himself.
Do you know what those abbreviations are? Like
Kentucky, Lincoln National, Wilson Muir, Town and Country,
Springfield State Bank.
Springfield.
You want me to write that out for you?
No, that's all right. That was the only one I didn't recognize. All right.
Do you want me to write that out for you? I mean, he is so over the top, conciliatory. I cannot even believe this. So helpful, Brooks. Thank you, little Brooks. Crazy. Burying his face in his hand again. Wow. Wow. They're not saying anything right now. Can you hear me okay? This is a pregnant pause, and it's making him very nervous. This detective is taking his time, not engaging, and it's really making Brooks nervous. So that's why you're not hearing sound. You can barely see him moving. Brooks is trying not to wiggle around in his chair too much. Super awkward.
Nobody else will write on that though, correct?
No, and I'm gonna make you a copy to show
And I
you.
want to be sure that
Yeah.
nobody else, messes with none of my stuff.
Right.
Oh, did you hear that? Okay, now here we go. So, so he couldn't stand the silence. He had to interject. Here's the true Brooks coming out, and Brooks's brother's influence, which you're going to hear about later. So, as I mentioned, Brooks's brother was also a police officer, not a detective, but a police officer. And now he's saying, "Hey, man, you're not going to write on my stuff, are you?" And then he made a very and look at his body language. Look at how arrogant he's looking right now, just bossing this detective around. So he went from being super conciliatory and that not working to now he's going to assert his rights, basically.
No, you're gonna get a copy of it so that you can look at mine and look at yours and say they're the exact same thing.
All right.
In fact, I'll do that right now. Better do it page, full page every time I run it up there. Need to recycle tablets ain't the best. Give me just a second, I'll bring it right back.
Awkward. And he will come right back, but I'm not going to speed anything up. I want everyone to feel exactly what he's feeling and in real time. Again, we're only going to go up to the 30-minute mark in this video. Remember, his Crystal Rogers, his live-in girlfriend, mom of his child, had been missing for a few days at this point, and to this day, her body has not been found. So he knows this at this time. This is pretty heavy, regardless of whether he was involved or not. So just always wonder, what would I be thinking if I were brought in for questioning if somebody near me went missing? And obviously I was the last person to see them alive and the person with the most answers. I would really wonder what that would feel like.
Take a minute, go through those page by page and compare them just to make sure that everything's good to go on.
Okay, so just so everybody knows what's going on, the detective went and made a copy of Brooks Houck's, basically his calendar, his agenda, whatever it is that he had provided with all of his whereabouts, his schedule, what he does. And he had a few questions about those things that he was reading, and then he made a copy. And he made a copy so that one copy could be retained, and so that they could make notes on it, and so Brooks could have his calendar back. And Brooks was concerned that they were going to pull some funny business. So now he's all of a sudden not awkward anymore, sitting up straight, and he's going to make sure that nobody missed a page, because you can be sure he would point it out if they did. And just by way of comparison, now the detective is the one who's waiting, right? At the end, he's not hugging himself. He's not squirming around. He's not wiggling his fingers randomly on the table. He's just sitting there, dee 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 da dee da dee da, waiting for Brooks to finish what he was doing, because this detective isn't involved in a murder.
Looks good to me, sir.
I'll take the original if you'll keep the copy, that way we'll both have a copy. And we'll put this in the file. So we're obviously, we're hearing tons and tons of rumors, right?
All right.
And I know Bardstown is the rumor mill of the world. But in a case like this, should it turn into a homicide investigation, any question that I didn't ask doesn't get asked. Does that make sense?
I don't understand what you're saying, but.
Well, if I don't ask you, then somebody's gonna ask me why I didn't ask you later. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
So when I ask you a question, it's not to be offensive, it's to get the question cleared up so that we can move on to another.
I understand. Yeah, I'll help however I can.
So one of the rumors that we're hearing is that you all had gotten notice from the IRS that you were being investigated for tax evasion. Is that correct or incorrect?
No, sir.
Not correct. And again, these are all rumors that people are calling in about.
That's fine. And where you can get a legitimate source, you're also about verifying everything. Right across the street here, up here at Gilbert Brown Company CPAs does my taxes. He has.
Okay, so if in case you can't hear what's happening here, the detective is saying there have been some rumors. They're hearing rumors. Obviously, Crystal is missing, and so he wants to find out what Brooks thinks, what his reaction is to some of these rumors. And this first one is about potentially tax evasion, that Brooks has been cheating on his taxes. And interestingly, and Brooks says right away, no, sir. But he does start volunteering all kinds of extra information that he wasn't asked for. And he's even literally pointing to the accountant's office, which evidently is across the street. And so he's just trying to keep this good old boys, he's probably your tax accountant too, type of thing going on here, even though he wasn't asked about that. He was just asked if that rumor was true. So he does appear, at least to me, a bit on the defensive side. I don't know what you think, but let me know what you think in the comments.
For several years, if I need to sign a form to release all his documentation on me for that, you're all more than welcome to it. That's the easiest way for me.
These are.
That's fine. Ask whatever you gotta ask.
Okay, I'm going to pause. Okay, yeah. So the great question. So there was some, I'm not sure if it was from her mother or somewhere else, but there was some, and again, it might have just been a rumor, and that's what the detective is saying, but that he was cheating on his taxes, that was a thing. And we'll find out at the trial, maybe, if that was actually a thing, because if she did know he was cheating on his taxes, and he was cheating on his taxes, that could be a possible motivation. There's also speculation, let's just say, that she knew about other things that he may have been involved with, some very serious, including the murder of the police officer, Officer Ellis, in 2013, 2 years prior. So it's a great question. And he does appear very defensive. And he does appear to be, to me, and again, this is just my reaction. He does appear to me to be used to this old boys club and you the neighbor down the street, Fred, and oh yeah, that's fine. So they all know the same people, and so that's how he gets by. And this is what is reported to be the case in Bardstown. That's how they get by with a lot of shady things in that town, allegedly.
Had you and Crystal ever talked about breaking up?
I mean, obviously, we have fought just like any other,
Sure.
any other couple, but in the
Okay, so he gets right into the next room. So this detective isn't interested in hearing about where his tax accountant is and whether or not he can get the files, because the detective knows if it's pertinent and relevant, he could get the files subpoenaed down the road. So he doesn't care about that. He goes right into, were you having problems with Crystal in your relationship? And right again, Brooks is not saying no, we had no problems. He's kind of saying, yeah, well, everybody has problems, right? So, and I don't know much about the police officer murder, but I've heard a little about it and how it ties into the Houcks, right? And so far, we don't really have definite, there's going to be a lot, there said to be a few more arrests coming down the pike, at least 3. And as we know, Brooks' brother, Nick, who was a police officer at the time that this interrogation was going on. Remember, this was back in 2015. Excuse me. And he is suspected by many to be the one who shot Officer Ellis, as well as the following year, that hadn't happened yet during this interrogation, but the following year, sadly, Crystal's father. Yeah, I think this is going to be, the case of the trial of 2024. But we have another Alex Murdaugh probably, and another Markel trial. So I shouldn't say Markel, but the Adelson trial, but it's for Dan Markel's case. Crystal Rogers, at least Crystal Rogers is coming up. And then it may be that Alex Murdaugh is getting a retrial. We'll find out about that soon this year too.
last several years, I mean, that right, it's came up, but we've always found ourselves together moving forward.
That is such a convoluted answer to whether or not they were having relationship problems. We always found ourselves. Okay, it's like he's talking about other people, not himself. So we found ourselves. How do you find yourself? Moving together forward. So that does not sound like somebody who was really into this relationship. It sounds more like he's confirming what the detective said, that they were having relationship problems. I have never heard so much distancing in my life. That's right. Yes. And it seems to be, and I'm trying to figure this out because I haven't heard much about the Houcks and Bardstown, if they like owned that town, basically ran that town, if they were one of the more powerful families in that town or not. But I'm getting the impression that they might have been. Okay, let's keep going.
So that it's mentioned, but it's never happened, and we've always found ourselves together moving forward.
Again, it's mentioned. What's mentioned? He asks, are you having relationship problems? It's mentioned, but we always found ourselves moving forward is the weirdest answer I have ever heard about a relationship. That's just so strange. It is such an interesting case. It's such an interesting case. Yeah. All right.
Okay. I know she didn't work out of the home currently, but had she worked out of the home recently? Had she had a job outside of taking care of the rental property?
Well, she took care of 2 young children. So she did some babysitting there at the house for some extra money. One little boy was about Eli's size, and other was, I don't know how old, but he was a little bit older. And I don't know how long, if it was 8 months or a year, but she had worked at the store up the road from our house for the, I don't want to say anything discriminatory. They, I don't want to say if they're not Americans, but they own.
They're Indians.
All right, yeah, I
Don't
don't know.
Okay, you guys. I didn't comment on this one last week, but this is so weird. This is so weird. He's saying Crystal had a job. He's asking, did she work outside the home? He said she babysat. She had some babysitting, and she worked for a store down the street. And he's got to mention their ethnicity. And then he's saying he's uncomfortable mentioning it because he didn't want to sound like he's just, in other words, racist, discriminatory, whatever that means. I don't know. I have a friend who's Indian. I have friends who are from other countries. Mentioning where they're from is not offensive. So he's being super weird about this. And I just don't know. And by the way, so, oh, and Tennis Girl's here. Sorry, Tennis, I missed you. So Swiffer Duster and Kitty and Fur Friend, I love your name. I have a summary, a 15-minute summary right here on my channel. And then I have a slideshow that I'm dropping probably sometime over the weekend. It's very short, but very informative. So you can, if you can't find the link, just ask me for it. I'll give it to you. But it's right here, because honestly, it's one of those things you can get lost in. So I did a good 15-minute summary, and it's right here on the channel. So, and hi, Tennis Girl. I didn't see you. Welcome. I love the hand pink waving. For some reason, I can't see the pink hand in the StreamYard side. So yeah, so it's right here. I'll grab that link for you before we go. Hi, Andrea. Nice to see you.
I don't want to say nothing. That's
Convenience store.
Yeah, convenience store. She worked for some folks up there. I do not know there. I think it might be Sandy or Sandeep or something like that, but I don't know. She worked up there at that gas station for quite some time, but that's been quite some time ago.
So again, why is he going blabbing on and on about whether they're Indian or American and whether he's been discriminatory in his word? Is because he's trying to distract this detective from what the detective is trying to do. And guess what? It doesn't look like it's working, does it? I don't think so.
Was that before or after Eli was born?
I think she started there before he was born, and she did work some there after he was born. She worked for a pretty good period of time there, but it's been quite some time back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he's 2.5. So
He's a little bit over than 2.5. He'll be 3 in October.
Almost 3. Yeah.
All right.
So you think it was a year ago or better since you worked there?
Probably approximately. I don't know. I would say give or take a 6-month window there, something like that would probably be pretty accurate. But I do not know the answer to that. I do not know. I just know that it's been a period of time.
Was it since you've lived together?
I mean, listen to all those words. It might be accurate for a period of time, but I do not know. I mean, come on. He just wants to know, was it between a certain date and a certain date? Was it recent? And he's acting like it was something that it wasn't. And the detective is definitely picking up on it. He's not picking up what he's putting down. He's picking up on it, and he's not letting him get by with it.
You all always lived on Glenview?
That's the only house since Eli has been born. We brought him home from the hospital. We lived there.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the only residence. You all were living there when she was working at the, and when she stopped working at the.
When she stopped working there. There was, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 other girls that worked up there with her. I don't know their names. They didn't have a large amount of employees, just a few.
Again, blah, 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 blah. Why do you all think he's offering all this information about all these other girls? Did you see his face just then? That mugging he just did, pursed his lips, very much in a downward type of frown. Like he's holding something back, but he's letting out all this other garbage. It's just It's just crazy. I'm glad I'm watching it in more detail again.
When you said you all had, talk about splitting up, had that been more recently, or was that before Eli was born, or had that been?
I don't remember the exact dates, but if you'll recall back in a couple of days ago when we had talked, whenever usually that had came up, she had always went to like Sabrina's house, or she went out with Brooke or to her parents for a short period of time, a day and a half, and after she cooled off, and we had a chance to talk a little bit, we always found ourselves back together. But it has been at times a stressed relationship. I'm not here telling you anything other than that. That is the truth, and that's accurate. That has been discussed, but we've always found ourselves together. We loved each other very much, and that right there is the bottom end of it.
So you notice that time he said the same thing, but he's like he's shrugging the one shoulder. He did it twice just now. We loved each other, and that's the bottom end of it. I mean, that's not the end of it, but his behavior and his language is so bizarre. Now, of course, I don't know what he sounds like under normal circumstances, but I'm picking up on a lot of nerves here.
Well, the reason I asked is because there are some people that she's associated with that are telling us that she had made some tentative plans to leave, like looking at an apartment at that store above the apartment above the store. I'm just trying to figure out if that was something that was ancient history or if that was something that was more recent.
Well, that's news to me. I don't know anything about that.
So when you all, let's say the last time you all had discussed.
Now, here's another thing you might notice in here that I'm picking up on is when he will draw words out. And this is much above and beyond his normal Southern drawls, his Southern accent. That's news to me. I can't do it, but he really holds on to those two words. And so to me, that's kind of just calling more attention to those words, which is kind of, you would think, the opposite of what he would want to be doing if he's trying to deny something.
Discussed splitting up. She didn't discuss any specifics with you about moving to an apartment or anything like that. Just that you all were having some issues and you resolved it.
Say all that again.
Yeah.
Break your question. Break them down.
The last time that you all had that type of a disagreement, okay? The last time that there was the possibility that you might split up, did she specifically talk to you about moving out somewhere?
No, not anything that she's never had an isolated point saying, "Hey, I'm moving here, moving there." I don't recall anything like that.
Okay. No, that was my question.
All right.
Just if she had.
Well, sometimes I know that you all do this for a living. Sometimes I feel like when you ask me a question, you put so many things, and I'm thinking we need to dissect it a little bit so I can answer each part specifically rather than put so. And I'm not. Please don't get upset at me for saying that to you.
No.
Put so much stuff in when I want to break it down in a simplified, direct question rather than put so much information into one question. Try to answer one and have a bunch of parts in one.
No, that's fine. If you need me to, that's fine. What you did right there is just fine.
All of this, blah, 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 over the question of whether or not they were breaking up, whether or not Crystal was leaving him. So just take note of when he starts all this drama with this detective. He does not want to answer that question.
All right, yeah, you know what you did.
Ask it a different way, or ask
because I want you helping me.
No,
all right, that's all right.
That's no problem at all. We kind of already established the Kylie thing, but just so I'm clear on it.
All right.
You got home at somewhere between 5 and 5:30, probably closer to 5, right?
Yes, sir.
And Kylie was there?
I didn't go in the house at that
Oh, you
time.
didn't? Okay.
No, I knew that whenever she was coming behind me, I knew that she was gonna be there shortly. So what I did was I jumped on that little tractor. I knew I had a little bit of time and I wanted to go up there and fill it up full of fuel, check, do all that kind of stuff, get my fuel levels right so that I didn't have to stop. I've got, as you can tell, when you look at that list, I got so much stuff to do. I don't have any unaccounted for time. I'm wide open.
Right.
If I stop for a few minutes, I go backwards, and I don't have time to do that.
So so you didn't go inside, so you don't know if she was there when you arrived.
I don't know if she was there. She was riding with Crystal. I do not know.
And when you got back from gassing up the tractor, they were all there. Her and Eli and Crystal.
All four, yes.
Yeah, okay. And so all four of you were there. So during that time, the neighbor said she got home around 5:15, give or take.
That's right.
So from 5:15, and I think I mentioned to you that I see on the video that you all go past Circle K. You go past the storage place and Circle K all within a minute or so, about 5 minutes after 7, thereabouts, give or take a minute.
All right.
So let's say you left the house around 7 o'clock.
All
Fair
right.
enough.
That's fine.
There's going to be a little bit of time, but I'm just generalizing. So she gets home about 5:15. You get back from the store. You all are there from, let's say, 5:30 to 7 o'clock together, the four of you. You ate dinner at home, I think you told me last time.
Yeah, we didn't fix nothing. I don't know what we ate. We didn't fix nothing fancy.
Right. Sandwiches.
Whatever we did.
You guys leave to go to the farm, but Kylie does not go with you.
That's correct.
She stays there waiting on
Her
Kathy.
Mamaw, Kathy, her father's mother.
Yeah, Kathy Fenwick.
Yes.
Right. So she stays there. You don't know what time she gets picked up, but she's there when you all leave.
Yes.
Because that was one of the things, I think she got confused, Kylie, not Kathy. Kylie got confused about the time frames when I was talking.
But I can't speak on their.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know
that's
that.
fine with that. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not confused.
All right. That's fine.
Okay, so here we're almost to the 30-minute mark, so I'll grab those dates. But here is really interesting. He's not he's doing some shoulder shrug when the detective is honing in on the 7 o'clock, and now we have video of this because again, this is the third time they've spoken. The other two times we're not in an interrogation room under this in this kind of a scene setting. This is a lot more, I'm sure he's feeling a lot more pressure right now because he knows there's more information. There's a video he didn't know about. And he's now starting to show that he's willing to even argue with the police office, like this detective saying, hey, just being pretty aggressive here, which is really weird because he was so conciliatory and now he's completely flipped to the other side. And that's probably what he's like when he's caught in a lie. Just guessing. What do I know, right?
What you said is my understanding of it.
So you guys leave, you go, presumably you go out Bloomfield.
And that's a really good point, Carrie Ann, because his mother does that too. If you've seen his mother on video or in pictures, I have a photo of her in the intro with the whole family tree, the timeline. I mean, this is when he's being aggressive in this case. And yes, he looking down at others, but he's a big guy and he's used to getting his way. And this is really shows his natural state when he feels like he wants to take charge. It's not a good look. It's really not a good look. And it's just so completely opposite of what he was doing just 20 minutes ago here in this very room. It's like a different guy because he's being cornered. Let's see. The Adelson's on stairs. Yeah, it really does say a lot. Carla has that pinned. This case is wild. A lot of there are 5 murders from 2013 to 2016 that are possibly connected. We don't know yet, of course. And a lot of it's speculation. There hasn't been a trial. He deserves his day in court, all that. but there's just a lot of really suspicious things going on, and there are a lot of commonalities. There's some family disputes and family dynamics, and we have a woman that left with her kid. He probably didn't want her to. And we have a grandmother, his mother, who tried to get custody of the child. So Crystal Rogers' mother couldn't even see Crystal's child for a long time. It's just a really sad case, just like every case, honestly, but very similar to the Markells. What happened to the Markells? It's just beyond sad, and people need to know what's going on. And there's also some possibility of police, some ethics things, and just a lot behind the scenes. It's pretty, for lack of a better word, juicy. I don't want to sensationalize it because it's not great, because it's crime, but I just think people need to pay attention to these kind of cases. And Crystal still hasn't been found.
Road to Guthrie, because you go past Circle K and not turn on Woodlawn Road. So you go out there, and then the next time I see you is when you pass Caddy Shack, the little restaurant there on 49. You go past there, and it's about the right amount of time for you to be traveling, and then you get to the farm around, best I can figure out by the time frame on the video, is about 19 minutes after 7. So you're actually there, roughly about 7:20. So
Okay.
So you get there. By the way, I twisted I guess it would be your aunt's arm. We noticed they had the video cameras. That's why.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good.
So she actually helped you out with the time.
Good.
It showed you coming. Now, I haven't watched the full days yet, so I don't know anything about comings and goings, but I know you got there about 20 minutes after, and you left there about 11:55, thereabouts. So during that time, from reading your statement, you left once and went down almost to Loretta Road, and then turned around and came back because you decided the Tractor Supply might be closed, right?
Yes.
So that, a little bit of time there. How long were you at the farm before you went to get feed and then came back, decided that it was too late? Do you remember roundabout?
It couldn't have been long.
Because you were going to feed the cows, right?
Yeah, it could have been probably more than, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay. I'm just trying to get an idea, so when I watch the video, I can kind of look for when you're coming out and then you're going back.
Yes.
And when you got to the farm, do you know if anybody was there other than your mom?
I don't know.
Okay. Did you see your mom when you came in?
No, we didn't. We didn't stop up there. We went straight down there we were going there to feed the cows.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah, but the barn's within eyeshot of the house.
But sometimes she might park inside. Sometimes she might not. So I don't know if.
Right. She got more than one vehicle.
She's got a little red truck, and she's got a white, and then she's got a white SUV.
Okay.
But I can't. That 15 to 20 minutes is as close as I can, and that's a guess, but I'd say it's pretty accurate.
I think your mom told me she had been mowing grass. Do you know if she was mowing when you got there, or
she's always outside doing such? She's more of an outside person than inside, but she likes to mow grass. Sometimes she'll mow it whenever it don't even need to be mowed. So. But no, I don't recall her mowing if she was mowing. But there's a lot of area there that if she was mowing, that I could have pulled in and not seen her, but I don't believe she was mowing.
Yeah. Okay. And it's not all that important. I'm just trying to get an idea of what was going on.
All right.
So there, I noticed when I was out there yesterday, I guess it was. So there's a bulldozer in the drive. Mm-hmm. There's a tractor, actually 2 tractors in the barn, right? There's a tractor with a bucket and a tractor that looked like maybe it was leaking hydraulic fluid. Maybe somebody
or an attachment,
maybe.
Okay, I'm going to take a pause and check if it's the 30-minute mark. Hold on one sec. because I don't want to go too long. Yeah, Brooks actually ran for sheriff after this, I believe. And he has no experience in law enforcement. If he ran for governor of that family is something else. He didn't win. Okay, let's see. We are at, we're at 26 minutes. I'll keep going. I just want to find a good pausing spot. This is when they start getting into the details of what he was doing at the farm that night. His mother was there, and this is interesting, and it might come up in the trial. So we'll just get through the next 4 minutes.
All right. So while you were out there Friday, did you operate any of that equipment to take care of the cows, or how do you normally?
No, I don't. No, when you feed the cows, you just get the sweet feed and you holler for them, you shake a bucket, and they, because repetitious, they know to run. They know.
I don't know if you fed them hay.
Now, if you're talking about in the wintertime, you have to have a tractor that can handle. We don't do square hay. I mean, in the wintertime, we're going to have to handle a round bale,
Right?
And that's done by tractor. That we're not going to. You can roll one by hand. You got 4 or 5 guys, but I mean, we're not going to do that. We're going to take a tractor and.
Right, but I'm talking about Friday. You didn't operate anything.
No.
Friday. So you just fed them out of the bucket.
Yes.
And so
now Aaron probably he's out there raking hay and stuff. He might very well have done that. I don't know if it was Friday, but he's been out there the past 2 weeks doing hay, and I don't.
Okay, you guys, I just can't with all this. This dude, okay, I'm just gonna say, let's say he's innocent, right? We want to presume. We don't have to do anything because we can have our opinions, but he's blabbing on about all this ridiculous stuff, and this woman is missing the mother of his child. I don't think so. This is just ridiculous. Why would he be blabbing on about all this nonsense? He hasn't shown any concern. It's almost 30 minutes in. I know they've spoken a couple times prior to this camera interview, but come on. He's just blah, blah, blah about all these details. This really does tell me he can't help himself. He thinks he's going to distract and confuse this detective, and it's just not working.
I don't drive the equipment because that's not what I do. Aaron takes care of all that, and he bales the hay, he cuts it, he does all the mechanical work out there, and
no one asked about Aaron. Oh my God.
Now who is Aaron?
The person that does all the work out there.
But I mean, is he related to you all, or is he a farmhand, or what is he?
Yeah, he's the city mechanic right up here for the city of Bardstown, the bus garage. He does all the mechanics and does all the inspection reports for the city of Bardstown bus school system.
Boom. Okay, here again. He's one of us. He's somebody you should respect. He's respectable. He works for me. He's trying to do this association of, again, more of the, these are upstanding people, throwing all this information in that is not at all pertinent. I mean, of course, the detective wants to know who else was there, but this isn't what Brooks is giving all this information about this gentleman who works for the city. That's not his motivation. His motivation is just to distract the detective. It's just absurd. It's I don't know why people think that they're smarter than detectives. And I'm sure the detective is just sitting there like we are going, what are you talking about? Do you think that this is normal? Do you think that you don't look nervous to me? It's pretty wild.
Right, but how is he connected to your family?
There's no blood relation. We graduated together in high school.
You and he did?
Yes.
Okay. And so does he get the hay off of your farm, or?
5 of the cows out there that are out there are his.
Oh, okay.
So what he does is, whenever you look at this paperwork, I've got so much stuff going on. I'm not a farmer. I enjoy farming, but I don't farm. So what he does is an added benefit to me. He takes care of all the fencing, all the labor, keeps the equipment running. If it's round bales or busting ice and stuff like that in the wintertime, he does all that. He's got the time. He gets off early at 3 o'clock in the day. So he will come out there and he knows about the mechanics. I'm not a mechanic, so he'll go out there and cut all the hay and prepare for the winter.
Gotcha.
He uses his time to do all that, to use the grounds out there for his cows, because he's only got about 7 acres here in town, and he wants to keep growing and expanding. And a way to do that, I don't have time to bush hog and all that, so I would rather keep up with the grounds by letting somebody do that and participate and let them. I don't charge them no money.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right.
So
But
it's
he keeps his cows out there.
yes, it's a good trade-off. Absolutely.
I don't charge him no money. Well, of course, because he's working for it's called bartering, but okay. Of course you don't charge him money for him working for you. God.
But he wasn't there Friday that you saw.
No, he wasn't there Friday night.
All that. And he wasn't even there Friday. Okay, you guys? That's what I was trying to get to. We're got 1 more minute.
You were there. Not before. I don't know about before, but
Oh,
when you were there, he wasn't there. So you all fed the cows with the buckets and watched them eat. And then you walked. Now, when you said you walked the road to the grab, you're talking about not just to the turnaround that goes right by the barn.
We walked to the back.
To where the old county road goes to.
Where I put yes, exactly. Where the road gets a little harder. I mean, you can still drive a car on it, but there's a little bit of grass in the middle. But
Right.
we
And that's what goes when you get to
cul-de-sac at the top of the hill.
right. If you get to the turnaround here, this
The house is right here in the barn here.
there.
Right here is where, yes, and it goes back there a far pit. And there's 3 big pens back through there. There's 3 separate fields where we rotate the pasture and stuff.
Gotcha. And you said you walked from field 1.
Yeah, let me just make it real clear for you. You can put this in your paperwork or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't write that, but.
No, I drew it out for somebody else.
This is the barn. And then, of course, the fence does something like this.
Right. Kind of gives an angle off Mom's place.
And then it goes all the way back. So somewhere right in here, this is a double gate. This is where we go in. Right here is where we enter the field, because this is barbed wire, And then over here is kind of an octagon's 8, but it ain't 8. This is like a pen out here that we can move, and then there's some troughs and stuff in here. And then I think right here, that field separates and then there's another gate right here. So this is number 1, and then way up here, this is number 2, and then number 3 goes a far piece back through there. Right. So we go through this gate, and then the gate from 2 to 3, the other gate's up here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's more food in field number 3 than there are on these other 2, because these 2 are 8 down close. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, and it's cooler back there in them ravines.
okay. So that is our 30 minutes, and that's a good stopping point. He's drawing out the map, finally getting down to where they were. Again, he's inserting an awful lot of extra information. So I'm going to leave it there. If anyone wants to say anything before we say goodbye, I'll throw your comments up real quick. Good night, tennis girl. By the way, I had mentioned doing like a New Year's Eve type video, but I didn't realize it was Sunday. I don't know. I have my days mixed up, but I won't be doing that. But I do understand that Carl is doing a live stream, so you might want to check that out. That's all I know about on Sunday, but I won't be available on Sunday. It's so good to see you all. I wanted to do this quick short. It was already an hour, just going through a half hour. I will check the community page, and I'll post more about. I'll put that 15-minute review back up and more about this. And then I have a really helpful infographic type slideshow that I'm going to post. It's like a 5-minute one that I'll probably post during the week, early, maybe Monday even. So Hey, everyone. It's really good to see you all. I hope you have a great rest of the weekend. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for chatting. I always love seeing you. Sorry I couldn't come on camera. But I'll be back soon on camera, and I'll be back at least within a week for the next 30 minutes of this. So if you're interested, if this piqued your interest, come on back for that. Make sure your notifications are on and all that jazz. So until then, have a great night and sleep well, and good night for now. Bye, guys.